So in today's video, we're going to be talking about big publishing mistakes that I've made recently so you can avoid them. So we're going to be talking about Amazon ads, and I capitalize this because, again, this is super important stuff. If you're doing low and medium content books, coloring books, activity books, word searches, pretty much anything under $10 that you sell on Amazon. Then we're going to talk about launching too many books at once. We'll talk about not collecting emails efficiently. Then we're going to take a look at being too adventurous when it comes to our niche selection, and then we'll talk about some keyword mistakes that I've made as well. So let's talk about Amazon ads, and this is something that I feel super passionate about. I think Amazon ads are super frustrating, and it depends what type of book you're publishing and how much you charge for your book. So it's going to depend, your strategy is going to depend on those factors. So for me, doing coloring books, slightly lower price cost books, I have to have a very specific strategy that's been working extremely well for me. So we're going to talk about what I did and what I should have done, as in what I was doing in the past successfully to manage my advertising account. So what I was doing recently was running very high bid campaigns to multiple books. So what I should have done was started with a maximum cost per click of 90 cents. So the problem here is that we started running campaigns for around $1.50. And really, if you're releasing multiple books, which you probably are if you're doing low content books, the cost is going to mount up so quickly, and the margins don't allow to have high cost per click campaigns being run to so many books. And we're going to take a look inside my account for November and show you how high the advertising spend has gone and why this is relevant because of the failure percentage of low and medium content books. So I'll explain that as I go through my account in just a second. So I tried multiple campaigns for a new launch. So what I did was to set up broad campaigns, product targeting campaigns, automatic targeting campaigns, and then did this across multiple books. And it's just spending too much money when really you don't need to do that. So I should have stuck what works for me and what I know has worked for lots of other people doing low and medium content books is pretty much just having a budget and then running automatic campaigns. And then when those automatic campaigns have been proven to work, then we can look at trying multiple campaigns from there. Okay. So what I ended up doing here, and this is something that I heavily preach against, is going way beyond my budget. So typically what I'm going to be doing is setting a hard budget for the month or per book. So I might, for this month, for example, I had in mind that I wanted to only spend $600 for the entire month on my advertising campaigns. But because I ran so many advertising campaigns to new books at a high cost per click, we've gone way over that to the point where we're probably going to hit $1,000 of advertising spend. So I've gone over the budget. It's not worked for me. And it's what I never recommend people do if you're selling lower priced books. But the reason that I set up so many different campaigns is because obviously we know that during the launch of a book, you want to try and get as many sales as possible to your book. But what I found here was that I was eventually just desperate trying to force the sales to come, when really, once you've been doing this for a while, you'll be able to see that there is this kind of natural flow of organic and advertising sales. And if it's going to work, you should not feel like shit and you shouldn't be sweating over your advertising campaigns, which is what's going to happen if you try and keep forcing these sales from ads, like trying so many different advertising campaigns, going crazy with the cost per click, thinking that it's going to increase your chances of making sales, when really that's not the advertising strategy that we want to work with. So we're just going to go into my account quickly, and while all of this might seem a little bit confusing, the advertising spend, the ACoS might seem extremely high to some people, but there's a reason that the ACoS goes high when you're launching multiple books. So this is obviously the first mistake that I made, was launching multiple books. So when you launch a book onto Amazon, your ACoS is going to be high because you're probably still trying to work out what you can get your cost per click to. You're not sure if the campaigns are worth keeping on or not. So the ACoS ends up going high for the start of the month. And then once you kind of wean off your launch period, then the ACoS should return to a decent state. So as you can see, we end up spending so far this month $845. Now we put in the UK an extra 20% on top of this, so it's going to come to well over $1,000 for this month, when really looking at things, I could have done this much better, spent a lot less, maybe 400 at this stage, only launched one book and then focused on the next book next month. So one thing that I want people to notice and understand, that this strategy for low content and medium content books revolves around having a budget and cutting campaigns off and cutting books off if they don't work for you. So if you were to see the entirety of my advertising account, you would see that I have 460 advertising campaigns set up ever since I started running ads a few years ago. And active, we only have around 20. Okay, so we're always monitoring and we're working on the winners and we're cutting off the losers. Okay, so recently I've been exploring some pretty interesting strategies for making the most of our winning campaigns, our winning books. So what we want to happen is, once we have a book that's been performing well, at that point, then we can start running different types of manual campaigns, product targeting campaigns, all those different keywords that we can take from our automatic campaigns, all these different things. We can do this, we can do these strategies when the books have been performing, proven to been performing well. So my new advertising strategies are going to be explored inside of the Raydog Live membership on Friday. So if you're interested in seeing the new strategies, there's a Friday call for the members, and every single one of these calls, even if you don't decide to sign up and you want to sign up later on, all of these calls are going to be recorded, where I show off every single book that I'm publishing, all the new strategies that I'm doing actively for my publishing business. So that's every single Friday. They all get recorded. If you want to check this out, it's going to be linked in the description below. And from day one, if you're interested in joining the pro membership, you get access to all of my courses, all of my strategies, the live weekly coaching calls, of course, and you're going to be able to get direct feedback from me and other publishers on everything that you're doing for your publishing business as well. So on top of that, we have our private rooms inside of the Discord where people come in, they can share what they're doing with me and other members and get a ton of feedback on what they are doing. So that's chrisraydog.com if you want to check out everything that I'm doing in 2024 and beyond. So let's talk now about book launching. So launching too many books onto Amazon at the same time. So this is what I did and what I should have done. So I ended up launching, because I was kind of desperate to have more books out for Q4. I ended up launching 4 books onto Amazon in 3 days. So what I should have done here was to stuck with 1 book per month as per what I've been doing, set up a set launch plan for that book with a strict budget, and then moved on to the next book the month after. Okay, so the problem with launching so many books like this is that your launch budget is going to kind of come together. You're going to end up spending a ton of money in 1 month, or you're going to end up spreading out your launch budget across multiple books. So this is what happened with mine, is that I had a launch budget around $200 for 4 different books. So obviously spreading out $200 across 4 books is only going to be $50 per launch, which really, if you're doing high bid, high cost per click campaigns, you're going to blow through this. You're not going to get enough information back for the specific books, and again, you're just going to end up spreading your budget across too many books. So I should have focused all of my launch budget into 1 book and focused on that, assessed the situation with that book, and then moved on to the next one. So what happened here is that because I'm spreading the launch budget out across too many different books, is that we end up stopping too early for every single book. So we don't get enough, we don't get the most out of the honeymoon period for the individual books, and we end up stopping for 3 of those books, meaning that they didn't reach their maximum potential, and I ended up focusing on just 1 of the books instead, when really I released 4 and 3 of them have maybe gone to waste. Okay, so super important. If you are producing high quality books that take you time, that take you money, this is super important that you are you schedule when you're going to actually launch your books and you budget. So just to give you a very brief idea as to how I believe and how other successful publishers of low content and medium content books publish and launch their books onto Amazon, it kind of looks something like this. So you're at your starting point where you publish the book, and then you launch the book onto Amazon, then you have yourself your budget. So during the launch and your budget, you kind of have this period where you're assessing your advertising metrics. And then at this point here, you need to make a decision. Once you've gone through your budget, you need to make a decision and then assess if you want to carry on running advertising campaigns to this book, or whether you stop the project. So stop or continue the project after this decision. And then we repeat this with the next book. Okay, so we keep going through this cycle. And this for me has been the only strategy, the only manageable way of successfully publishing low priced books on Amazon. So all of this is super important because there's a fundamental problem. Well, there's a fundamental aspect of this, of doing low content and medium content books, is that not every book will sell and make you profit. Okay, that's the reality. Have you ever seen, ask yourself, have you ever seen anyone ever who's doing any type of book actually, who is independently published, have success with every single book they publish? Even people like Coco Wyo have books that are ranked in the millions. People like Jade Summer, of course, they have books that they've cut off projects for, and these are extreme examples of extremely successful independent publishers. So there's no reason to suspect that someone who is on a strict budget should be able to have every single book sell. Okay, so that's why the launch, the strategies, the advertising budgets, they're all super important for managing your account and making this work for you. So here's a super interesting one, and this is something that is going to be the focal point of my 2025, and it is unbelievably important. Nobody talks about this enough, but that is collecting emails. So building an actual business from what you're doing, you need to have an email list. Like you've probably heard about the money being in the list and all that shit. It's super, super, super important. So what I was doing and what I should have been doing in regards to collecting emails is that I was releasing books. So all the books that I've released over the last 2 years, they had a really shitty like website link that people actually had to type in. So the effort and resistance that comes with people having to go to the back of the book and actually type a website address into their phone or into their computer is going to be much higher than if I were to have just used QR codes. So I'm actually currently updating a lot of my books with QR codes, and the results are fantastic so far. Second to this, another big problem that where you're collecting emails, obviously you have to have a website in order to do this. So at the time I didn't have a fully optimized website. It was created by myself and along with someone else, and it was very poorly optimized. It was slow, it wasn't working that well, and it just didn't give me the best opportunities to capture as many emails as possible. So what I should have done, and what I wish I had 2 years ago, because I believe I would be fully selling full-time away from Amazon had I done this, was to have a brand store created earlier. So a proper website that has your books on it. Once you're collecting the emails, you can actually get people back to your website to buy it through your website instead of on Amazon. Okay, so another problem here, in terms of having a brand store, was that there was no other offers for when I collected these emails. I collected all these emails, 600, 700, whatever it is, and then I had nothing for these people other than the latest book launched. Okay, so what I should have done was to have this brand store website set up with other products that I'm selling as well. Lifetime value of your customers is going to be super important if you want to build something incredible that you can possibly exit from in the future for a lot of money. We need to be increasing the lifetime value of the customers by selling them other great products as well. But if you are interested in the brand store benefits, you can head over to chrisraydog.com/brand store and check out the benefits here. This is actually our done for you service. If you're finding it hard to find a reliable manufacturer outside of Amazon KDP, everything is sorted by us here. If you want to check that out, that's chrisraydog.com/brand store. But as you can see, there's a ton of benefits to having a brand store over not having one. It's super interesting stuff, and these are things that we really need to consider if we're super serious about doing this and changing the game for ourselves. Then we have to consider collecting emails and having a website in the future. What is going on here? But we're talking now about niching away from a niche, and this is actually one of my books on screen here that is actually a good example of what I had been doing successfully. But we're going to talk about what I did and what I should have been doing. Okay, so what I did for the books, the latest books that I've released, is to go way too unique of a concept. So there is a pro here to be had, that is if you are the first person to make something completely and utterly unique in the marketplace. Yes, you can collect all the sales. So for example, if you look at the Bobby Goods books or the Vivi Tinter ones that do the Fuzzy Friends, they were like the first people to do that, and they took a ton of the sales. So what I was doing here was going way too unique and trying to be that person. And of course, when this happens, you're gonna increase your chances of failing, let's put it that way. Okay, but if you get it right, it can be extremely good. So what I should have done here was stuck to proven ideas and then placed the unique selling point or the unique angle onto the book. So I'll give you an example of going too far with a concept and getting this kind of nice middle ground where you are entering into a niche where you're not copying people, but you're getting into a proven niche and then putting a logical angle onto it. So for example, I published this swear word coloring book 2 or 3 months ago, I think it was now. And my unique selling point was to make this a bold and easy book, which makes sense. And the other unique selling point I feel like was just the book cover. That's all it was that I did different here. Just had a really standout book cover in the niche, and it does quite well at the moment, this book. So to give an example of what I had tried recently, I'll try and use this concept as an example here. So for example, I could have created something like a swear word mandala coloring book, or something that's never been proven to work in the marketplace, or something completely unique would have been something like swearing aliens or something just completely unique. You'd be the first person to be doing it. And again, it's just niching way too far to the point where your unique concept might not be what people resonate with. That's why we do the research. That's why we stick to the proven ideas and then put the slight angle onto them. So the other problem with this is that because it was so unique, it ended up being so broad that I found it really hard to know how to target the audience correctly in terms of the keywords, and even creating the book cover and the listing. I was like, I don't really know who I'm targeting here. Whereas with this here, I've got a pretty good idea of the target audience, and that's why the book has done okay. So what I'm doing for the next coloring book that I release, which is going to be in a few days time, is to stick with more of a proven concept, but just to take a slightly different angle with the interior, with the keywords, and to try and like a different color palette for the book cover on that as well. So inside of the membership, I do actively show every single book for my main pen name, the one that makes me a full-time income. I show off the latest books, and pretty much every single call I give some quick update as to what I'm doing. And every time that I work out something new, whether something does well for me or does badly for me, I inform people of that and keep people updated with what I'm actively doing on these calls. So this is actually one of the reasons why I've also included this huge Discord community as part of the membership. So it comes with all the courses, all the live calls, everything on top of that. We have an amazing Discord community as well, where people can come in and they can post what they're doing. They can post their ideas, their book covers, their advertising stats, and get feedback on everything that they are doing. So this is reducing the time that it takes for people to understand that if what they're doing is effective or not. And it's a huge game changer. Highly recommend that you check this out. It's going to be linked in the description below. And like I said, this is all part of the membership. So if you're feeling slightly shy about being part of the community, everyone here, as you can see, is super encouraging, super helpful. We have people that are starting to finally publish their first few books, people that are starting to make huge improvements with their sales, monitoring their advertising spend, everything that we need people to do to start seeing success. Everyone is encouraging everyone to get to that point, and it works incredibly well. So I highly advise people check this out. It's chrisraydog.com, and like I said, it's all included with the membership. So that was the problem that I had with kind of niching away the niche. I wasn't collecting that data from Amazon and then operating upon it. So one other thing, and I feel like this is super important for getting early, this is early visibility. I've spoken about this many times before. I'm going to give you a live example of how this works for my books. So we're talking about keyword mistakes, what I did and what I should have done. So in a nutshell, I didn't use keywords enough for these recent books. I'm going to explain how your keywords will affect your early visibility on Amazon. So this is super interesting stuff. And what I should have done is, of course, my usual methods for keyword research. So I'm going to give you two examples from my book now. If we head over to Amazon and we search for, let's just go swear word coloring book for Amazon. So what I want people to note here is that when you start typing something into Amazon's search bar, it's going to come back with these suggested terms here. So this is pretty much all that I use when it comes to doing keywords and keyword research for my books. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that it is actually showing different branch off search terms for this broad search term. Okay, which means there's probably people searching for this type of book. Okay, we won't get into too much detail, but let's just search for swear word coloring book and see where our book comes up. Okay, so I'm not going to say this book is like the best book and it sells 1 million copies a day, because it's not. It just makes a couple hundred a month at the moment, even though it's slowed down slightly for some reason during Q4. But this is the book here, and as you can see, it's a little bit on the older side now. It's outside of its launch period. It's been a few months, but we're still ranked on the first page here. So what I want to talk about very quickly is crafting your title and subtitle to get you this early visibility. So early visibility you're going to get when you start getting a few sales to your books during the launch of your book, which is why we test with advertising to get a few sales. What you're going to find is that you're going to get ranked, or potentially get ranked, for words that you use in the title. So your title was everything up to this point here. So we had the potential to get ranked for bold and easy swear word coloring book, and also easy swear word coloring book, easy coloring book, etc, etc. But what we ended up getting ranked for was swear word coloring book, which is a very logical search term. I believe people are definitely searching for that. And of course, as we saw, Amazon's search bar was giving back those automatic suggestions as well. So this is a mistake that I made with the newer books that I published, is that I didn't go for a keyword dominated title. I kind of did what KDP and all those other slightly bigger publishers are doing, where they just have a kind of fancy name. So for example, this would have been something like clowning around, I don't know, a keyword, nothing keyword related. And so just to give you some subtitle tips here as well, so subtitle from here down to here, what I found is that after you get ranked for the search terms in your title, is that you then start to get ranked as more sales come in, whether it's organically or through ads. Then you'll start to get ranked for variations of your title and subtitle. So for example, if you were to get enough sales, you could potentially end up getting ranked for funny swear word coloring book, or funny coloring book, okay, or simple coloring book, or hand drawn coloring book, or rude word coloring book. Okay, so that's how the early visibility works, and that's what I should have done, as opposed to just putting whatever I wanted in there. So I go into the whole keyword research and the strategies a lot more inside the Raydog courses, but that's the general way that I've been doing it, to see that early visibility so that I can actually track where the books are being ranked. And that's what I wasn't doing for my latest launches. I kind of just put them out there and just hope for the best, and it didn't really work out that well. So what I'm reverting back to is, of course, doing what's been proven to work, and what I suggest other people who don't have a huge budget it should do as well. Because the thing is, with people like KDP, they have a huge advertising budget, to the point where when they release a book, they have a huge audience already, loads of people buy that book from day number one, and then they end up getting ranked for really broad search terms like coloring book for women, or funny coloring book, or cute coloring book, or bold and easy coloring book. KDP and the likes will get ranked very quickly, when we will not. So we do have to be a little bit more thoughtful with how we craft our title, our subtitle, and our backend keywords. So those are the mistakes that I've made, and these are the mistakes that I want people to avoid as well, especially if you're doing coloring books, activity books, word searches, lower priced books, low content books. You have to have these strategies in place to give yourself the best chance possible of making great money with this pursuit. And like I say, if you're interested in joining the Raydog membership, being part of the community, being able to get on the group live calls every single Friday, or to watch the older calls, to see what I'm actively doing, checking out the new campaigns, the new strategies, everything that I do, the brand store building that I'm going to be revealing to people in the membership soon with what I'm doing exactly, all of that is included inside the membership with the Discord, where you can go into the seller forum, get feedback on your book covers, feedback on your advertising campaigns, pretty much anything that you need feedback on, you can get through here. This is the place to be. If you want to check it out, it's chrisraydog.com. But that is it for this video. I'll see you maybe on Friday, but I'll see you in another video very soon.